Good evening. I'm Dr. Jim Gimble, professor and president here at Concordia Lutheran Seminary in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. This is our Quest series for winter 2023. Yes, that's a winter shot, not a summer shot of the seminary. You may think we're looking like this all year long, but we're not. We're a very small, accredited Association of Theological Schools, confessional Lutheran seminary. We're healthy and we're vibrant, even though we're small. But we're pleased every year in the fall and again in the winter to provide for you completely free of charge 2 educational courses that run 4 evenings. We're on the first session tonight, and we hope that you're able to join us all 4 evenings. There are really eight topics. Each evening is divided in 2, and we're glad to have you here for this evening of Winter Quest 2023. This year's topic, this winter's topic, is being presented by one of our faculty members, Dr. Sam Thompson. We are looking broadly at world religions, but really there's a sub-theme to that. It's about understanding our neighbor's faith. In this very diverse culture of Canada, we recognize that we have a lot of different people and a lot of different faiths represented. And it's important for us to know our neighbors and their faith so that we can share the gospel of Jesus Christ with them in the most winsome and useful and helpful way. Of course, it's God who does all the work, but we're really glad that God helps us understand them and gives us time to build a relationship with them so that we can share our faith. Well, we're ready to begin. We're glad that you're here, and we welcome Reverend Dr. Sam Thompson to be our presenter this evening. Dr. Thompson?
Thank you, Dr. Gimble, for your warm welcome. Greetings to you in the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I'm excited to invite you to Concordia Lutheran Seminary's Winter Quest 2023. And the topic for this series is world religions, especially our title is Understanding Our Neighbor's Faith. I come from India. I was a pastor in India for 7 years, and then I taught at Concordia Theological Seminary in India for 7 years. And I grew up in a religiously plural society. As you know, India is often called as the cradle of world religions. And some of the world's major religions have its birth there, like Hinduism, Sikhism, Buddhism, Jainism, and so on. And also, India is a place where almost most of the world religions are present there. So my interest in world religion is not just academic, but it is a lived out reality for me. So I'm so excited to take you to a journey through some of the important world religions in the world, and also some of the newest traditions in the newest religious movements that we can see in the world today. In this course, we'll start with discussing the question, what is religion? And after we deal with that question, we move on to discuss some of the world's major religions like Hinduism, Buddhism, Islam, Scientology. And nowadays we have a growing number of people belonging to no religion, having no affiliation to any established kind of religion. We'll talk about that. And also we'll talk about the rising numbers of neo-paganism. And then finally we'll conclude our session with what are some of the traditional ways in which we have related to people belonging to different faith. As a Christian, how we can be sensitive and build bridges to connect with our friends who belong to different faith tradition. So in today's lecture, we will basically talk about why study religion, why we bother to study religion, and also we will also try to define what religion is. And we will also use Ninian Smart, a very famous theologian and also as a scholar in religious studies, he talked about 7 dimensions of religion, which is then a great tool as we continue to learn about and study about different world religion. So every generation have this important question. Every generation asks this question: is God going to go away? Will religion disappear? What we find is that in 15th century, with the coming of the scientific revolution, this question was asked. And again in 17th and 18th century, with the coming of Enlightenment period and the high optimism about the human reason to solve each and every problem, this question was asked again. They thought that with the rise of science and technology, the religion, the God talk would go away. And again, in the past century, Bernard Russell, he said, religion is something left over from the infancy of our intelligence. It will fade away as we adopt reason and science as our guidelines. On 1966, April 8, the Times magazine, they ran a cover page with a title, question, is God dead? The magazine was wondering whether in a post-atomic era with communism on rise, religion, can it survive? And today this question gets attention again in the 21st century. And the hot news for today is the world's new major religion is no religion. And this again came as a title of an article few years ago in the National Geographic magazine. So we may wonder why we study a religion. Is it worth studying religion? Is it going to go away? What we find is that although this question is asked again and again, and in our generation, this question gets amplified because of some of the statistics there, which you can see there. 16% of unaffiliated people around the world who have no religion at all. And that number is growing high. In Canada, we can see that people who belong to no religion is 26.3%. And as we further explore the statistics, we find that in Australia, North America, Europe, and many other parts, what you find is that this number is again increasing to close to about 30%. So the number is increasing. Now, the no religion is kind of third largest people group in the whole world. And also, you'll find in Europe, North America, and Australia, and in several parts of the global north, what you will find is that the no religion has become the second largest segment of people. And it is also interesting to look deeper into it. We may wonder who this no religion group is. Now, we'll find that it's kind of an umbrella term where you will find atheist, agnostic, secularist, humanist, and also people who don't care about any religion. All are lumped up together in this common term using this word no religion. And atheists and agnostics are just one segment of this among these people. And what you will find interesting about the atheist and agnostics in this group is that most of them come from global north, or 82% of the atheists and agnostics are white. So in one sense, when you say that the no religion is a global trend, it's really not that it is a global trend. What you will find is that it is, of course, it is rising in numbers in North America and Europe and Australia and places like that. But several researchers, especially you will find the Pew Research and various other research agencies, have found out that they are projecting that in fact the no religion is increasing. They project a decline in no religion in the future. There are several reasons have been given towards that. The one is that even inside this no group, in no religion group, of course the atheists and agnostics, they never care about God, but many others, although they may not follow a particular religious tradition, or they are fed up with, or they don't like any, they don't want to associate with any established religious tradition, still they have this question about the ultimate reality, questions about ultimate reality, and they still believe that there is something bigger than life. And also another reason, pointed out is that although the religion is declining in global north, we have this immigration, a new phenomena happening where the global spread of Christianity is happening. And Christians in large number, Christianity is growing in Asia and Africa and South America and many other continents. And with the global spread caused through immigration, this scenario is changing even in global north, in North America and Europe and places like that. And you also see a rise of Islam happening. And coupled with all these things, you find the low fertility rate among no religious groups. Many of them wanting to live single, preferring not marriage or children. So there is a shrinking population in terms of no religion. And there is something else which is pointed out by the researchers, is that 84% of the world population still believes in some God or a transcendent reality. So will religion go away? We are not sure about that. No religion, are they going to inherit the earth? Not yet. Many neuroscientists, which is a growing field of study now, especially they affirm they point out some recent advances in neuroscience and brain imaging technology, taking clues from that. They think that human beings' instincts toward religion or to relate with God is not going to go away, because somehow we are hardwired to believe in a transcendental reality. Especially one noted neuroscientist among them is Dr. Andrew Newberg. He believes that we are hardwired to think religiously, to think about God and the supernatural beings, and to find meaning in life. And people are aware that there is something bigger than what is going on here. So will religion going to go away? This question, of course, will be asked again and again in the near future also. And religion will be staying there because we are hardwired to relate to a reality which is bigger than ourselves. So why bother study about religion? Because it is not going to go away. And there are also several other reasons given why we study religion. Because study of religion helps us to understand who we are and also our civilization, because religions are great heritage of human civilization. And human civilization is shaped by religion. Another reason why we study religion is that religion helps us to understand different cultures and societies by shaping us, by helping us understand their underlying worldviews and values. Tell me your God, I will tell you who you are. We sometimes say this phrase. So religion, our worldview, our concept of God really shapes our worldview and also our values and how we live in this world. So if you want to understand the African society or Asian society or the North American society, what's their religion? What's the concept of God? And how they perceive the transcendental reality and how they translate that knowledge to their values and to their culture. Another reason which can be given why we study religion is that religion actually helps us to gain a coherent and comprehensive picture of human attempts to understand the ultimate reality. Many world religions, as you will see throughout this course, that they are genuine attempts to understand the ultimate reality. So, what is this religion basically concerned about? Edward B. Tyler, he said, religion is the belief in supernatural being. So, religion is concerned with supernatural being, something who is beyond us. Rudolf Otto, a German philosopher and also a theologian, in his famous book, Idea of the Holy, he talks about the ultimate being, God, as a reality who is fearful at the same time fascinating. God is a mystery who is fearful and fascinating. Mysterium tremendum et fascinans. A fearful and fascinating mystery. The mystery of God is fearful because of His majesty, because He is wholly other. He is unapproachable, and in His presence, in front of the Almighty, we stand in awe and respect, and awe and wonder, and with a sense of nothingness, and we are terrified in front of the mystery of God. But at the same time, this mystery of God, which is so much fearful and which makes us tremble, is yet at the same time draws us into Himself. It is something fascinating. It attracts us, it intrigues us, it invites us, and gives us comfort, hope. And this is something what religion is concerned with. It is concerned with the mystery of God, at the same time terrifies us, at the same time draws us into Himself. And there we are, there we stand before Him with awe and wonder. Ninian Smart, one of the famous experts in the study of religion, he wrote a famous book called The World Religions, which has become a very famous book, which is referred by anyone who is interested in the study of religion. And he talks about actually 7 dimensions of religion. Why the same 7 dimension, which he underlines, is important to us? Actually, this 7 dimension, he notes that it is kind of a helpful tool for us to understand religion, any religion. So understanding the same dimension would provide us a tool for us as students of religion, as we approach different, as we try to understand different religious tradition. What is this religious tradition? What are their major practices? What are their major emphasis? So let me take you to a survey through the 7 dimensions of religion. The first dimension of religion, he notes, is a practical and ritual element in a religion, the practical and ritual element in a religion. So every religion will have some sort of ritual, and the religion enacts its myths, and it confirms and expresses its belief through its rituals. So if we want to study any religion, it's so important for us to look into what are some of the rituals they practice, what are some of the rituals they have. For Christians, we do have the baptism. We also do have the communion. So anyone who wants to know more about the Christianity, they pay close attention to some of the rituals that we may have. What does it mean? And some religious tradition, before they come to the temple to worship, they wash their feet and make it clean. And it is kind of a ritual. The burial, the childbirth, or initiation into studies. before a child starts studies in certain cultures and religion, they have a rite in which they come and write the first letters under a priest or the elder of their family. So every religion is enriched or have a rich variety of rituals. And these rituals actually give them a feeling of security. They give them a feeling of familiarity. And also they give them a sense of continuity. And everybody looks forward, although it is being repeated. Every Sunday we go to church and we sing hymns. And we recite, we confess our faith through Apostles' Creed. And this comes again and again and again. But it gives us a sense of security, continuity, and familiarity. And also this is a good place where an outsider can look into what are some of the rituals this religious tradition practices. And each ritual will have a theology behind it, have a meaning attached to it, which provides significance to that, provide significance to or meaning to the people who profess that religious tradition. So paying attention to the ritualistic dimension of a religion is so important. And the next dimension or the next dimension which you can find in a religious tradition is the experimental and emotional aspect in a religion, dimension of a religion. So the experiential and emotional dimension of a religion makes a religion personable and appealing to a person. Even though a religion, even if it got a great theology, great ritual, and great practices, if it doesn't feel personal to a person, it doesn't mean anything. So doctrines without compassion is not looked upon well. So rituals without feeling doesn't make any sense to people. The stories that won't relate to us will appear dry to everyone. So in every religion there is an emotional and experiential aspect there. We feel close to God, or we feel close to something. It may be God or an ideology. So religion is something not just a belief about deity, but it could also be something of an ultimate concern to everyone. So in that sense, religion is not just, I would say, not just belief about God, but it is also, it could be even to some people, nationalism can be a religion. For people who follow communism may be a religion. To some people, soccer may be a kind of a religion. So there is a kind of an experiential and emotional aspect to every religion. So what kind of experience a religion promotes? Do they promote inner calm, peace, or some overt, visible manifestation, proofs of something? Or they seeks to give forgiveness of sin, take away the guilt, or promotes guilt? Or they rely more on objective kind of experience or subjective kind of experience? Or what kind of experience is going on? What kind of emotional attachment a religion gives? So again, when we approach the study of religion, it's so important for us to look into the experience and what experience or how each religion relates, how it is relating personally to these people. And the next dimension of a religion is the narrative and the mythical dimension of a religion. So the narrative and the mythical dimension means every religion will have stories, narratives. Every religion will have myths about its origin, myths about the origin of the religion or origin of the world, about God, myths about God and for good values, and what it means to be a human, and what it means to live in a society. And it will also have heroic stories about its founders. We have stories, we have narratives about Christ, his death, his resurrection, his life. And we also have narratives from the Old Testament, which all together makes up our complete story. Now, as we look into the narrative and mythical side of a religion, we will find that some of the stories may be, in some religion, the stories, they attach so much importance to historicity. But not all religion attach importance to history. So many of them may not be historic. So what are the stories of certain religion? So this is something that we need to look for when we try to understand our neighbors. What are some of the important stories they relate to? Our neighbors belonging to different faith, they give importance to, or they look up to get their moral lessons from. So the stories and myths of a religion shapes its practice, and it shapes their emotion, it shapes their values, it shapes their doctrines, it shapes their philosophy. And even we can find that many rituals are based on certain narratives in a religion. For us, we know that the Lord's Supper is based upon the narrative of Jesus, is calling his disciples and instituting it, and also the Old Testament narrative of story about the Passover. So narratives and stories, paying attention to that, the stories of his founders and stories they promote, is so important for us. Moving on, another dimension that we can find so significant is in a religious tradition is the doctrinal and philosophical side of a religion. So this forms the intellectual component of any religion. So when religion encounters the social realities, it needs to make sense. So it will formulate faith confessions, which will be then statements based on the faith, which emerges from this sacred text and also from the tradition. And also it will be based on the interpretation of scholars of that particular faith tradition. Some religion will have highly developed doctrinal contents, intellectual components to it, and some other religious tradition may not have. It may not be important for them. What is important for them is maybe a kind of the other aspects, the ethical aspect, or what is important for them is the emotional aspect. So each religion differ. The proportion, the amount of importance given to each dimension may be different in different tradition. So as I said, it is very important for us to look into what are the major doctrines. What do you think? What do they think about God? They articulate about God. What do they articulate about human life, afterlife? What do they articulate about the life in this world, how it needs to be lived out? And how do they construct these doctrines? Some of them they construct strictly from the religious text, the sacred text. And some of them sacred text may not be, it may be just one of the sources, but it also comes from the traditions. To some tradition, there may not be any sacred text at all. It may be some oral tradition or the authentic teaching or authoritative teachings given by some certain scholars. So what are some of the doctrinal and philosophical teachings of this particular religious tradition, and how that doctrine and the philosophy is formulated? Is it text, oral traditions, combination of all these things, or just the teaching of some charismatic leaders? Moving on, another next dimension of a religion is the ethical and legal dimension. Most of the world religions and even the newer traditions, movements, will have an ethical and legal dimension attached to it. Again, some religious tradition will have a well worked out kind of ethical system, and some religious traditions or newer movements they may not have at all, or they may have, they don't much care about the ethics, and ethics may not form the big part of their religious thinking. So it depends. So the question we need to ask is, what kind of ethics, what kind of ethical decisions or actions and values are there? And the ethical dimension of a religion actually flows from its narrative, from the stories. So there will be stories which would encourage hospitality, or there will be stories which would encourage forgiving or not forgiving, or who to forgive and when to forgive or what not to forgive. So there will be stories. So ethics comes from stories and narratives, and it also comes from the doctrinal base. So our ethics is also depend upon how do we understand our God, and what is God's requirement, what is God is requiring from us. So it determines the values and actions expected from believers, and which is coherent with this worldview and ultimate life destiny. So any student of religion, they will be interested, and they should be interested in knowing how far the ethics works there. What are some of the ethical principles of this religion, and how much importance is given to ethics in each religious tradition? As I said, it all changes. In some religion give much importance to ethics, and some religion they may not care much about it. All they are interested is to relate with the Almighty, and to get something, some blessing, to receive some blessing in their lives. Now, another dimension of religion which we want to look for is the social and institutional dimension of a religion. Most of all religion got an institution and social dimension. Now, religions can start as a movement, but soon the movements, if they need to last, it needs to take an institutional shape. So even in Christianity, we would say that the church is both a spiritual reality and it is also an institutional reality. It is a spiritual reality, and the concrete expression of that spirituality needs to be practiced in a concrete setting, in an institutional setting. We need church. We need time to set aside to worship, and we need resources to facilitate that to happen. So every religion has an institutional, most of all religion, I would say, got an institutional backing to it, without which they cannot survive. And also they will have a social kind of group. Christians are organized in churches, denominations, and geographical areas and all. So we have social groups. So how it is organized? So in Islam or Buddhism or neo-paganism, how the social and institutional network works. And without every religion, so takes a sociological and institutional form, and without that they cannot function in this world. And each religion got a history, so a continuous history, a continuous body of people whose life is organized in faith communities and organized in worship service. And looking into the social and institutional life of a religion, there will also be people's personalities, which is shaping the religious tradition. There may be reform movements in a religion. In Hinduism, there were reformed movements, and also in Christianity you will find Reformation and Counter-Reformation. And then at some point, some important significant personalities come and they give importance to or emphasis to certain aspects of our faith, and that is given more importance from then onwards. So it is important that when we study religion, it is important to be sensitive towards to understand the social and institutional, how it is shaped in each religion, to pay attention to that, to the personalities and institutional structures, and how the dynamics, the faith dynamics is regulated, controlled, and practiced, how heresy is addressed, who can make the call, and how worship is organized, and all those things. Finally, another important aspect of a religion is the material dimension of a religion. So, the material dimension means the religion, even its doctrines, its ethical system, everything is its emotional aspect. It takes the material expression, it takes concrete form. And so religion's social and cultural dimensions become incarnate with its material expression in the form of worship services, holy places, architectures, images, and the service institutions. It got a concrete kind of expression. So, paying attention to the hymns belonging to the songs or hymns belonging to a particular tradition gives us a clue about their theology, about their emotional attachment, about who they are, or the artworks, or how the temple is structured, how the church is organized, the place of pulpit, the place of lectern, how it is organized, the art and drawings. The material dimension gives us gives us a clue about the theology and ethical practice, and give us an understanding about who these people are. And also the material dimension is expressed not only in holy places, architectures, worship places, images, and service institutions they have. It is also has to do with the net worth. Some people will go into net worth. How big this is materially, economically, how influential they are. Some religious tradition may not be materially in their net worth, may not be much, but still they have a significant influence upon the people. In some religious traditions like Islam or Christianity, if you look at their institutions and if they look at their how the money involved in the material transactions involved, it is highly developed. In some traditions it may not be so. So religion forms an integral part of human beings, and it is not going to go away. Even the non-religions, if you carefully look at it, you will find that it is being it grows in interaction with several religious traditions. So paying attention to these seven dimensions would really help us to understand any religious tradition. Now, before I end this lecture, I would like to talk about three types of religion. You can find three types of religion, and having this in our mindset would help us to better understand different religious traditions, which are going to come up in our discussion in the following lectures. So, the first form of religion you would find is a kind of human search to find God. Now, what you will find is that the most world religions are genuine attempts of human beings to find God, salvation, and meaning in life. It may be misguided or so, but these are, we would say, that's some of the human beings' finest attempts to understand meaning in life, to find God, to search God. Why? Because I already mentioned about in the beginning that we are neurologically, we are wired toward searching meaning in our life, to find God or something bigger than our lives. Scripture clearly points this reality. God has hidden eternity into our hearts. He has put eternity into our heart, Ecclesiastes 3:11. And God has also written His law into our hearts. And He also given the clue that there is a God. The creation points towards the reality that there is a higher being who designed all these things. And without somebody who designing this marvelous and wonderful world, it cannot come into being. So human beings are at wonder seeing the witness into their heart and also the witness around them, and thereby they, because of that, the search for God. Who is this God? So some of the world religions are excellent and genuine attempts of human beings' search to find God. Another type of religion that we would find is that it is humanity's search to become God. So in the first place I said, it's an attempt to find God, but the second group of religious tradition, I would put it as a humanity's search to become gods. They themselves want to become God. This is a desire to become God, or to replace God, or to live independently of God. It is a desire to become God. So this we can also relate it from the scripture, related to the scripture, Genesis 3, where when Eve fell in the first time, the temptation given there was, if you eat this, you will become like God. You will become like God. And in Genesis 11, again, the story repeats. In the building of the Babel Tower, they want to make a name for themselves. And they want to have a life without God. Can we live without the Creator? And Scientology, which we are going to discuss in later in this series, will talk about an attempt of human beings to become creators, to become God. And more you will find in various religious traditions, which are newer religious movements which are coming in, the desire to become God is much there. And also, loosely we can say that even in the Enlightenment project, it is a desire to replace God or to become God was one of the emphasis given there. And finally, we would say that there is another approach that we will find, especially in Christianity. You will say that it is not humanity's search to find God, but it is basically God's search to relate or to save humanity. So Christianity believes that unless God reveals Himself to us, we cannot know Him. Unless God saves us, we cannot be saved. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And in Christ, the fullness of God dwells. And even when we were sinners, Christ died for our sins. Christianity is all about God coming in search of human beings and to save them. And for that reason, many would say that we cannot categorize Christianity as a religion, because religion are basically the quest of all religions is to search God, but Christianity is all about God searching us. I hope that these three approaches towards religion, or three types of religions, would help us in our future in our study as we dig deeper into different world religions and the newer forms of religious tradition. So, will religion go away? Is on the decline? Yes. At the same time, no. It is going to stay away. It is going to stay for long. And then we are there to understand our neighbor's faith, because 84% of the world population still believes in a reality. And even the 16%, they also operate, they search for meaning in life. So it is so much important for us to not only know our faith, but also to understand our neighbor's faith. So with these words, I will wind up this session, and we will take a break, and before the break, I would open the floor for you, and if there are any questions from people here in the studio, I will be happy to answer it. And if you have any other questions for those who are listening to me online, or those who are listening to YouTube later in your comfort of your house, you can always send your questions via chat, and also my email is listed there, so it will be listed there in the sthompson@concordiasem.ab.ca, so you can always send me your questions via email. Yes, Dr. Gimbel.
Dr. Thompson, one question that's come up is how have things changed in the last decade or so in the interaction of world religions, Christianity and others?
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Gimbel, for that wonderful question. I would say the last decade or so have seen a significant change in the landscape of world religion. In one way, one thing I would say is that I already mentioned in the lecture about the growing non-religious group. And if we look into more into the heart and the dynamics involved in non-religion, what you will find is that several things are at play there. One is people are not happy with the established religion, because somehow the established religion, they feel that they are not catering to their bigger questions about what is the meaning of my life and what makes sense. And sometimes they feel that the established religions, most of them are corrupted, and they no longer, the religion, many of the religion took the monopoly of God, and somehow, they are not practicing or not propagating or not helpful in relating or bringing people to the authentic knowledge. So there is a general dissatisfaction about dissatisfaction about the established religion. But at the same time, you will also find that people's sense to relate to God or to find meaning in life, to relate to the ultimate reality, is not going away. So that's why we find that in the following lecture, in one of the following lecture, I will talk about, when I talk about non-religion and secularism, in neo-paganism, you will find it in UK and in United Kingdom, in many other places where this non-religion is on the high. You will also find fascination towards neo-paganism. So it is not just going. So in last one decade or so, I would say that the established religions are getting a big hit, but that doesn't mean that people's religiosity and spirituality is going away. The hunger for people to relate to God and the ultimate reality is on the increase. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I invite now Dr. Gimbel to conclude this session and to give out a few announcements. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the next session. God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Thompson. That was marvelous. You gave us a nice, broad overview and an introduction that you'll unpack over the next 7 sessions. These tonight, the rest of tonight, and the 3 weeks that follow. Just to say, I've mentioned that we're a very small confessional Lutheran seminary. We depend heavily upon the donations of our partners all across Canada and around the world, and we're thankful for that. If there is no charge for this course, but if you're interested in donating to support us, here is our app and some information on how you can provide financial support for what we're doing tonight. We're going to take a break. This allows you time, if you're at home, to run to the refrigerator, get something to eat or drink, go to the washroom, and come back refreshed or renewed. Or maybe you'll do this in a series of 7 different settings. But we hope you join us again for session 2. Thank you.